The start of the 2022 Outsider Racing League season has brought us all over the Southeast, from Daytona to Homestead to North Wilkesboro and Bristol. But don't count out Atlanta and Watkins Glen, the two other tracks that we've been to so far this season. But now it's time to head back to the Northeast, this time on April 2nd, for the Monster Mile, Dover, Delaware. This 1 mile high-banked oval is very similar in shape to the track we were at last week, but it's double the size and double the consequences. The Monster Mile, Dover, Delaware, for round 7 of the season. Kyle Heyer joined by Finney and DeCuna. Finney, welcome aboard. 160 laps around this track. Feels like 500 anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this race get underway. Dover, very tricky track for some drivers. Some drivers excel at it, some drivers kind of struggle at it. Very unique with the way it's shaped. Actually, not with the way it's shaped, really with the way the turns are sculpted. These guys are going to be going up and then down into the track. We're going to be talking about it all night with the way the corners are shaped. They're going to be coming up and over, in and out of the turns. It's going to make the car handling a little bit of stuff, especially when the tires get worn out. We're going to see some guys maybe slipping and sliding around here.
Here's a look at the track layout. It's just a standard oval, but that doesn't tell you the full story of how challenging this place is, especially at high speed. Again, Kyle Heyer joined by Finney and DeCuna. Connor Horn will be joining us from the pits a little bit later as we head in to our 7th event of the season. Dover, Delaware, this population of this city, 36,000 people. In one of the first states, actually the first state in the United States. Constructed back in 1969 was the Speedway. It's been revamped a couple of times. Started as asphalt, replaced with concrete in 1995. Weather here so far today, very pretty. 70 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 83 degrees on the racetrack. And one of the things about concrete, Finian, the temperature doesn't fluctuate quite as much.
Yeah, so I think you can expect that track time to stay for quite a while, especially because it's just a little before noon in the sim. So may get maybe a degree or so hotter, but not really much more than that is in the temperature fluctuation.
As we head into our 160-lap event, we're going to qualify everybody first. Smaller field today, 15 drivers, Finian, but that makes things a little bit more interesting as you get deeper into this race, because you can be a lot more aggressive with your strategy, knowing that not all the points are on the line tonight. You can be really aggressive, and with that small field, the chances of you starting up front and staying up front are higher. But let's keep our eyes on Andrew Talganoff in that number 3. He's been mighty successful lately. I think he's my pick to win this championship the way that his season's going. The 48 car would have been a choice to win this race tonight, but I think that 3 is going to be the one to beat, Finian.
Yeah, problem is, Talganoff's got to start picking it up a little bit. He's kind of floundered a little bit in the last 2 weeks, finishing 11th at Bristol and 9th at North Wilkesboro. So he's got some points to make up. He's currently 3rd in the overall standings. Jeff Wright, your points leader, followed by Mitch Welker, 22 points behind him.
Well, cars rolling onto the racetrack now to kick off their qualifying. There's Liam Sheen in that number 92 Chevrolet Camaro. Rolling on the bottom of the racetrack for now, getting set up to go racing. Jared Dixon is back here this week in a very easily identifiable AutoNation car, the bright pink and purple on board that car. Let's ride on board here with Jared Dixon as he goes around for a lap. Just how wild of a lap is it here at Dover, Finney? And you're carrying so much speed. You land in these corners. You don't just turn into them.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see there on entry, car rises up a little bit and goes falling back down to the track. Then on corner exit, comes back up. You can see him getting sideways before they even press over the turn, taps the wall. He's going to have to probably do another lap. Looking at Adam Cabot, Leighton Joyner going to be out on the track now. Haven't seen he's got a lot of practice. I assume he's had a lot of practice before. Time looks pretty stable for the most part off the corner. We can even see off the corner too. He's still wrestling the wheel.
You're spending a lot of time fighting the car around here and keeping it glued to that bottom line. If you step off that bottom groove, you're going to be in the wall pretty hard here. Calamity Corners, exits of 2 and 4. Turn 2, though, typically known as the one that's a bit more challenging. Brand new livery for Adam Cabot here this week. Look at that. That is a very nice-looking car. A WCBS awesome. 880 News Radio car. Look at that thing. That is so cool. Good color combo.
See, this is the kind of paint schemes that the real life guys need. They have honestly some of the most boring. Some of them have the most boring paint schemes. I think most of the Ford guys in the Cup Series have got their paint schemes figured out, but some people are really lacking. Jeremy Miller is same paint scheme. Another new paint scheme, Mitch Welker, aero shell on his car as he wrecking out of the corner. Didn't think he got a good qualifying. He did not. He got a very poor qualifying after 32-second lap. Not sure if he's going to be able to roll out for another one.
Eric Hutton qualifies 3rd. Ryan Carwile's on a fly right now, the number 71. He's had pretty successful seasons here in the past, and as we walk into tonight, Carwile's 4th in the standings, 33 back from the overall points lead, jumps to 3rd on that qualifying lap, and that's a good top 5 start for the 71 if he stays there. Here's Jeff Wright in that number 48. So far this season's going pretty well. He's won 2 races out of 6 that we've run so far, and all 6 races he has finished inside the top 10. So I don't think he's the one to necessarily beat tonight. I got my eyes on that number 3, but Jeff Wright looks really solid here in practice. We'll see if he can duel it up here in qualifying.
Well, Jeff Wright is coming off of, he actually didn't like that lap. It looks like he aborted it. He's got to hurry back up, though. Doesn't have too much time remaining on the clock in case the clock is out for his qualifying attempt.
There's the number 50. Setting up, kind of entering high and exiting low. Carrying as much speed as he can up onto the front straightaway. Watch the speed climb north of 170 into turn 1. Bit of a bad bounce there in the middle of turn 1. We'll see if he can carry good speed off the corner.
And big thing coming off of 2, you want to get as close to that wall as possible without actually hitting it. Easier said than done. Underneath the Ally Bridge in 3 and 4. And then coming off of turn 4, I honestly think turn 4 a lot more treacherous than turn 2. You can see the car sliding off the corner. Across the line for Casey, 23.3. That'll put him in 9th. Jeff Wright, meanwhile, halfway through his lap, working through 3 and 4 right now. We'll see where he can end up. He's been qualifying very well in ORL lately. We'll see if he can continue that streak off of turn 4.
Ooh!
Oh, into the wall. That attempt's not going to count. He's going to be starting from the back.
Well, that's what happened to him at Bristol also. Didn't go so well for him there, so he will start from the tail of the field here unless, well, that is actually going to be all of his qualifying efforts. So Doug South, Ray Massey, Jared Dixon will also not get laps here in this race.
And Mitch Welker also going to be, actually it looks like he's going to be lined up next to Jeff Wright. Welker got in a time 32.5, as I think he also had a similar issue off the corner, wrecked, and ended up counting that lap.
Getting set for the 7th race of the season for the Outsider Racing League here in 2022, this time at Dover, Delaware. The Monster Mile, Boeing FA-18E Hornet doing the flyover from Dover Air Force Base today. And in just a few moments, we're going to be rolling for our 160-lap event, 160 miles from one of the most challenging tracks in NASCAR. This is one of the simplest looking layouts and certainly one of the tracks that can bite you the hardest when you make a mistake around here. So qualifying is completing. Jeff Wright just getting one final run just to clear his head after that contact out of turn 4. Get one more run through it before we head into our race.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be shaking his head having to start all the way from the back. Not too terrible, but I mean, he's definitely going to have a long night ahead of him, as well as Mitch Welker. Even Ray Mass, you could probably throw in them, all 3 of them. Very fast cars having to start from the back. And even Andrew Telkinoff, too. We were talking about him. You picking him as your winner. He's going to be rolling off at 10th.
I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. That's what I'm going to do. I'll put my confidence in him early, and we'll see if that will stick. But cars lining up here on the pit lane. About time to roll through our starting lineup here. Let's roll through them here, Finney. And on row number 1, kicking things off, it's going to be Liam Sheen in the number 92. He will start on the front row alongside Jeremy Miller in the number 30.
And moving on back to row number 2, Chad Klein going to be lined up in 3rd, still waiting on his first win of the season. Ryan Carwile, already a race winner of the season, back at Homestead, Miami.
Starting in row number 3, it's going to be Eric Hutton in the number 88 and Ryan Kish in the number 42. He'll roll off 6th in that red Supra.
Adam Gammon going to be lining up in 7th place. Next to him in the 24, Bayley Turner in 8th.
9th place, Casey Legatus in the number 50, and Andrew Telganoff will roll off 10th in the number 3 Chevrolet.
And starting everyone who didn't put down a lap or struggle to put a lap down, Mitch Welker rolling off at 11. Next to him, Jeff Wright. Keep an eye on this row. Both these guys, I imagine, are going to be trying to move forward.
13th place, Ray Massey in the number 23. Doug South rolls off 14th in the number 56, and Jared Dixon in the number 16, 98 on timing and scoring. He will start last in 15th place tonight. So 160 laps if this race goes green from start to finish. We have about an hour and 1 minute of racing ahead of us. And Finian, races do typically go green here in ORL, expecting a lot of green flag racing. And that also means a lot of green flag pit stops. And that's especially a challenge here at Dover.
Yeah, and I think these guys, especially, I think they learned early on in the season with tracks at Homestead, Miami, and especially at Atlanta. And you can even throw North Wilkesboro into the mix as well. You're going to have to save tire. You're going to have to plan on the run going green. You can't really burn up your stuff, because if you do, you're going to have to make green flag pit stops earlier than competitors, and you're going to be at a disadvantage from the get-go. So it's going to be a lot of tire saving, just managing the car. Don't burn up your stuff too early.
Car is just beginning to roll off here for one pace lap. Jared Dixon not on the grid. He will start from the pits as the rest of the field climbs up onto the banking. And that is the challenge here, is you're relying so much on the grip here in these corners from that banking to keep you from spearing off into that wall. You make the slightest mistake, you're going to go up the hill and into the fence, and it is a hard hit here at Dover. That safer barrier disappears. It used to disappear on corner exit. It's still there now, and that's actually an additional challenge because the track is not quite as wide as it used to be on corner exit.
Yeah, it was always a struggle coming off this corner because we would literally every inch a racetrack, and now you lost a few inches with the safer barrier. Of course, it's nicer with the safer barrier there, but I can tell you as a driver, you kind of wish that it wasn't there sometimes.
Field lining up to get ready to go racing. Last week at Bristol, it was a wild race, came down to the end, but tonight, a new week for drivers. 160 laps, 160 miles.
Wow.
And an early start from Liam Sheen, and green flag flies. We're racing here at Dover. Sheen out to a strong start, leading lap number 1. That was a really early jump there.
But yeah, I think got the entire field napping as well. I don't think anyone was expecting him to go that early, even as soon as the pace car jumped.
Certainly. Look at Bayley Turner and Andrew Talganoff side by side. Carwile having a look at Kish into turn 3.
And Kish actually going to win that on the top side and fall back in line. So he's going to take 6th place away from the 71. Come off turn 4. We said Eric Hutton up ahead have a minor brush with the wall. I don't think really even scraped it, but got awfully close to it.
Here's Jeff Wright to the inside of the 3 of Talganoff. Wright, again, didn't qualify very well. Neither did Mitch Welker. Here comes the 76 to the inside of the 3. Big dive in the Aeroshell Supra.
Yeah, no, he can't waste no time, especially because his main competitor in the race and in the championship is that number 48 machine, so he can't quite let him get out of his sight. He's probably going to let Jeff Wright do most of the legwork of making the passes. He's going to try to sneak his way on through after the fact.
Adam Cabot up in front of Eric Hutton in the number 88. Line is Stern down the front, or the back straightaway rather. Sheen leads by 1.3. Kish all over the back of the 88 of Hutton.
Yeah, Kish looking really strong in his 42 car. Well, as mentioned, all over the back of the 88 crew. See if he's going to have a look up high or look low. And this is what I was talking about. If he's pushing maybe a bit too hard early on, you as a driver, you're thinking try to get as many positions as you can, but you also have to think in the long run. Connor?
Just get back in here a little bit late here, but it's kind of surprising that Adam Cabot is only in 4th place. I know he didn't get too much qualifying, but he's still pretty much the most dominant driver here. He's won 3 out of the 5 races Orel has done here at Dover, including a win here by 18 seconds. So it might take him a few laps to get up to speed, but that 77 is going to be bad fast. You can expect him to be up there.
Strong start for Adam Cabot, even with the limited amount of practice. Thanks, Connor, as Bayley Turner fends off Jeff Wright. That 48 car moving forward pretty quickly. Crashed in qualifying again, started 12th, up 3 spots to 9th, and continuing his climb. This is something we've seen in a lot of weeks, in recent weeks, is to see one of the cars pop out of line ahead. I think that was Kish on that 88, still battling for 5th place.
Yeah, he's working hard on the back of Hutton, but just can't quite get the run off the corner. And he's actually, the reason actually started back, the reason he dived out is because the 88 hit the wall a little bit, so he was just trying to avoid any potential contact. But look how much speed 42 makes up in the middle of the corner. It's all over the back, but again, just not quite enough alongside. I don't think he's willing to just throw it up the inside. Maybe feels it's a little bit early for that.
No, something I noticed is listening to his inputs through 1 and 2. Is you almost hear a little bit of brake blending, where he's still sort of dragging the brake to rotate the nose and getting back on throttle to balance out that brake shift balance that he's doing with the left foot. So interesting kind of 2 pedal inputs there through 1 and 2. Listen again. Let's go off into the corner. And you can hear the engine kind of just lug just a little bit as he's still got some brake pressure in it. Interesting driving there as Welker goes for a look on the 48.
Yeah, so it looks like he's not going to be willing to sit behind Jeff Wright. He feels like he can go maybe a little bit faster on the inside quarter panel. Wright pinching him to the inside. It's very dangerous. They almost make contact off of turn 4. Managed to just stay off each other.
Not as close as you think you want to be at corner exit. And thankfully, not a ton of arrow walk. When you get on someone's quarter panel like that in real life, you can really easily move them up the track in an undesirable way. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be a huge effect here at iRacing. Kish still hounding the back of Hutton. out of turn 4. Here he comes with a big, strong run, but can he get overlap?
Not quite. He's going to have to start worrying, though, because you see right there the Virginia Tech car, the 71 Ryan Carwile, all over the back of the 42 now. So he's got to be careful when he makes his move, otherwise he could lose a spot.
Big dive into 3. Kind of shallows up the entry a little bit, but Hutton doesn't give him the space. Carwile now setting up a strong run out of turn 4.
Oh, here he comes.
Here he comes to the inside. Kish going to block that move down to the below the 88. That was really dicey.
Getting really racy early on, and all 3 of these guys are caught up to Adam Cabot, who we're talking about. Connor was just mentioning, very experienced driver, been to victory lane many times. We'll see if he can return yet again. But up for the lead, sorry, not for the lead, sorry, second place, Chad Klinger and Jeremy Miller. I was saying the lead because I didn't even see Liam Sheen because he's that much further ahead of these guys.
1.7, make it 1.8 seconds clear as Klinger goes by Jeremy Miller for P2. And behind them, as you see Miller try to get back. Side by side, Carwile had overlap on Kish, but wasn't able to complete that pass.
And everyone all lining up in behind Adam Cabot, nose to tail. Very close bunch of cars.
Building that pressure. It's like shaking a champagne bottle. At some point, it's going to pop. I don't think lap 14 of 160 is when it should pop, but how long can you keep these drivers at bay before they get impatient?
Hey, I mean, some people want to drink. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Not here. It's 9:15 in Chicago right now. Look at the 42 again popping out of line. He's going to keep making that dive, and if at some point the 88 wants to give him the spot, he'll go by easily, but he's fighting it pretty hard.
Yeah, I was saying Ryan Carlo, he went high in 1, turned down on 2, got a bit of a run, but not quite enough. And I think really the key thing is that for a lot of these guys, it's just not enough of a run to make yourself alongside. You can absolutely force the issue and just try to outbrake someone on entry, but like I said, it's only lap 16 of 160, really 10% of the way done. A lot of racing left.
On board here with Mitch Welker, the number 76. He's been sizing up Jeff Wright for a couple of laps now. There's only a 10th between each car from 4th to 10th.
Yeah, as you mentioned, here's where the move, and there you see Welker actually looking high a little bit. I think he's trying to
car of the wall, 42 car, Kish slams it out of turn 4. Everybody scatters.
He's going to lose 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4 positions here.
That was a pretty heavy hit, too. You don't get away with that too many times. Let's have another look. Gets too high.
Yeah. See, that's the problem with Dover. I actually get another replay angle of riding on board with the 42. It's so tough here. You think you're good. Oh, you clip the apron too, but you think you're all right, and then bam, ball comes up on you very quickly.
Yeah, I think that was the key to that whole thing was the apron contact. If we go back one more time and watch him through 3 and 4 here from this angle here. Watch the left front tire. As he comes down the racetrack, he's going to catch this black apron there on the asphalt, and right there it lifts the left front tire up, and already he's already for a ride. I don't think he realizes it yet. But even if you do realize it, there's not a whole lot you can do once you lose that line. You're just riding it up the hill. Connor?
It's not too surprising to see Liam Sheen get pole and then pull out to a 1.8 second lead. Getting reeled in a little bit by Chad Klinger here, but this is pretty much his forte. The new Nexus esports driver, used to saving the tires, always in the big esports sim racing events and iRacing, very high up in the standings and Road to Pro. Long runs in those types of races, so he's used to saving the right front, right rear tire, right up his wheelhouse for something like this, so no shock to see him at front, although he is getting reeled in by that 09 right now.
Yeah, it was the start that really gave him a huge advantage over everybody. It basically shot out of a can in the middle of 3 and 4, caught everybody off guard, but he ran away, and it's been paying off ever since. Meanwhile, behind them, Ray Massey is chewing on Andrew Talganoff's rear bumper right now for 11th place.
Yeah, Massey not really going anywhere. Started 13th, only really up to 12th now. It's going to try to go to 11th as Kish struggling with the damage to his car on that right side. You can bet that car is not handling ideally in there. They go off of turn 2. Drag race down the back straightaway.
Yeah, this is a lot like what we saw at I think it was Bristol, and what happens at Darlington as well. If you hit the wall once, you're just going to get magnetic to it for the rest of the day. If you can stay off it halfway through the race, you're going to finish the race without any contact. If you hit it early, it's going to be a pretty miserable day. Look at Turner underneath Carwile, who slips way up the track in turn 2.
Yeah, it seems, and Turner actually thanked Carwile for that, I guess, for him giving room. Turner's got a really good run off the corner, and Carwile, I guess, not quite willing to fight it. Speaking of which, here comes Jeff Wright to his inside, or at least a look on the inside, and Welker now looking up the top.
Yeah, Welker's been trying to get around the 48 for a while, and this upper groove just isn't here yet, I don't think. He's going to give it a good run out of turn 2, though, but watch that 48 as he slides up the racetrack. He leaves the 76 space. That's not a guarantee, especially later in a tire run, but looks like the 76 will finally get the job done the hard way.
Yeah, great move around the outside. So Welker up 1 spot into 8th. See if he can try to get past anyone else further up ahead, because I expect this car to be decently quick, but just did not have a good qualifying effort.
Chad Klinger is reeling in the leader, Liam Sheen. That gap is down below a second for the first time this race. And a little bit of lap traffic to contend with. That appears, nope, that's the leader. I'm looking at second place Klinger. Sheen's got about half a lap to catch Jared Dixon, who did make it on the racetrack, by the way, did start from the pits. And is down about 1.5 seconds clear of Doug South, who is also down the order in 14th place.
Connor, you got a word for us?
William Sheen is in the race lead. He was just talking to him. He is saving the tires, sort of letting Chad Klinger get to him. But lap 24 out of turn 2, he did tap the wall. A little bit of fender damage to that right front wheel, so I have to see how that affects his tire saving, affect his handling of his car. But he did tap it. Got a pretty good hit on it there.
Jeremy Miller's got a problem. He has understeered massively the last couple of corners and just gave up 2 spots and slid in right behind Hutton Finian.
Yeah, if you can get a picture of that right front, that'll kind of tell you the story on lap 18. It seems like he made some pretty decent contact with the wall. I'm trying to see exactly where. He actually hit the wall on entry of turn 3, which is a bit surprising to see. So it wasn't actually that bad of a contact looking back at it, but it's obviously not doing him any favors.
Connor, you got something on Jeremy?
It was the same thing that Finian was just mentioning, how he told me that pretty much it's killed and that he didn't want to talk about it and that it just jumped out from him entering the corner. I've heard of that happening, never had it happen to me, but that entrance to 3, a little bit of a bump there down the straightaway can kind of catch you out, and that's what Jeremy said caught him out and put him into the entry to turn 3 wall.
Yeah, it's kind of a frustrating thing to hit, right? Because it feels so obvious that you shouldn't be hitting the wall on corner entry, but it's easy to do here. I mean, we talk about the landings here at Dover and how you kind of climb up into corners and then you set back down. That climb up can kind of destabilize the car on corner entry and cause it to do some funky things, especially in these high horsepower cars, 600 plus horsepower. You can actually pick up the front end off the ground and end up in the fence, climbing up that hill on entry. So I can see how that could be a frustrating challenge this early in the race.
Yeah, I think we actually just saw the machine lap prior had a little bit of a scrape, saw some sparks fly off the car. No real damage, but you got very close to it in turn 3. So definitely a thing these guys need to look out for. You also just saw Mitch Welker got past Ryan Carwell. Again, can't imagine too much of a fight between those two. I think just letting them all each carry on with their own race. So Welker now up to 7th place.
Working lap 30 of 160.
And there you can see Jeremy Miller. Bayley Turner now getting a great run off for turn 2. And I think for Miller, he's in kind of damage control mode, just riding the high line, just preserving the car, praying for a caution to come out.
Yeah, he's going to need one. He's going backwards really quickly. Definitely not handling right. There's the 76 of Welker, who didn't get a qualifying lap. Started 11th. Now running 7th, so +4 for the number 76.
So far, Welker's done a good job. He hasn't made any contact with the wall just yet. He's made some decent inroads off both Miller and Turner. And we just saw right there, I think that was, who was that?
Carwile got really close to hitting the fence out of turn 4.
Yes.
Liam Sheen's lead is stabilized at about 9/10 of a second. So we work lap number 32.
I think he found a good place to keep Klinger at. I think he's feel like he's saving enough tire at this point. Yeah, in fact, you can tell in the lap times too, they picked up on Sheen and he started to go a little bit quicker than Klinger. Cabot, though, the quickest of the top 3, and he's starting to catch up.
So I was going to take note of was that he's the fastest driver on the racetrack at the moment as the 30 car continues to tumble down the order. This is becoming a trend with this number 30 as he starts off really strong, qualifies well, but it's always the first run where he just really struggles with pace that they can never really dig himself out of the hole. So we'll see if he can recover some a little bit later today. Here's the battle for second heating up.
Yeah, Cabot doing a great job. Just saw him diamonding the corner, entering high off of 1, low in 2, and here he comes to the run to the inside of Klinger before they get to 3.
And we'll make this look easy, and we'll slot in front of Klinger on corner exit. +5 for Cabot so far. Good climb.
Not bad. I was just going to say, Connor, got any word for us?
just trying to look at the fuel and tire strategy. Races past here in the Outsiders Racing League with the Cup Series cars, we've seen that usually the fuel is you're not gonna go on a full fuel run. The tires don't last as long as the fuel. We see a lot of cut tires. Likely not to be the case. Saw Bayley Turner do a full fuel run in a tire wear, seemingly not as large as we've seen it in years past, although the time's 2 seconds off from his first lap of that practice run. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of tire failures. We might see early pit stops. Not going to make it to lap 80. The fuel's going to last around to lap 65, so we won't be too far away from seeing drivers take a pit stop here.
How long do you want to stick out there on old tires? Connor brought mention to the lap time differential. Have a look at Klinger. Last lap of 25.0. His best was a 23.46. So that's nearly a 2-second slowdown, which is really significant. And you're not going to necessarily, wait on the fuel to end because you're just going to be hemorrhaging time. You really need to come down and get tires before you blow them out. But again, I don't think you're going to see them probably pit around lap 50 would be my guess.
Yeah, I think around lap 50, 55, I was kind of just doing the math in my head. So like Connor said, these guys are going to have to pretty much make 2 stops. I don't think you could really even try to hype them out to 1 stop unless you get a caution here or there, which doesn't look likely at this point. So you're going to be looking at pit stops probably around lap 50 to 55 to cut this into 3 nice equal stints as Jeff Wright makes a move to the inside of Carwell. And Carwell, talking about guys dropping back, he's starting to slip back.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's gone backwards a lot in this race, actually. And it's surprising because Ryan's typically one of those drivers that kind of shows up at the end of the race. But let's not count him out now. He's usually pretty consistent. We'll see him move forward. Here's Telganoff going the right direction now. Finally, after starting in 10th, he's gone effectively nowhere. He'll pick up his first spot of the night on the 71.
There he finally gets the way on through, so up 1 spot for the 3 car.
Turner and Mitch Welker.
I was thinking with Ryan Carwell, maybe he'd come in by the end of the run, but we're kind of approaching that with pit stops in about 10-15 laps time, and as you're mentioning, Welker now working on the back of Turner, so 76 had a good climb forward. It's going to be P5.
Yeah, he's got the pace for sure tonight. But who's got the longevity? I know Liam Sheen is certainly looking like the one to beat. Adam Cabot's going to be good. We always know that. Chad Klinger is in the mix. Eric Hutton's having a pretty good night running in 4th as well. I think any of those top 4 are a pretty good choice at this moment, but there's still drivers that we know are very capable. Carwile, Wright, Telganoff, as well as Casey Legatus that just sort of end up towards the top of the order at the end of the race, and you're trying to figure out how they got there. Well, at this point, they haven't really gone anywhere. 40 laps into a 160-lap event.
Yeah, you get everyone in the everyone in the top 6 all within 2.5 seconds. So really, any one of those guys has a really solid shot at still winning this race. And arguably the 76 and the 77 looking like the best drivers, and even obviously our race leader Liam Sheen, although he looks like he's been kind of falling off a little bit here and there. Cabot's been slowly reeling him back in.
I think for Liam, if he's got a good balance of short versus long run pace, I think it's going to pay off for him in the end, because we might see a caution towards the end of this race. We could see a caution in the middle of this race that could bunch things up and turn it around, but as it's going, it's going to be pretty green, and we could finish this thing in 49 minutes, which would be the scheduled end time for this if it were to go green all the way to the end, which we've seen several times here in the series. You can't count that out as a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, we had that free caution last week at Bristol, effectively handed Jeff Wright the win. So you never quite know. You always have to keep your eyes and minds open as far as the strategy change if the caution comes out.
Eric Hutton is kind of back in the picture. You see all the leaders slowly condensing back on each other, kind of accordioning back together after this 40-ish lap run. So that's interesting to note because Sheen had kind of distanced himself from everybody, and now they're all reapproaching each other all the way back to 6th place Mitch Welker.
Yeah, they're all on the front straight, all getting closer and closer together. I mentioned before, they're all within 2.5 seconds, now within 2 seconds, Connor.
Getting some more comments on how the handling is. Adam Cabot, who looks to be the fastest car on the track right now, reeling in leader Liam Sheen. He visibly called this thing a dump truck, not really handling, very push tight. Doug South and Jared Dixon very struggly as well. I guess I could say that Doug South saying he can drive it fine, but he's got to go slow to do it. Jared Dixon said Liam should just shut the front door to be polite about it, saying that Liam was complaining a bit too much for being in the race lead.
Just saw Ryan Carwile hit pit lane and a lock up and a slide to get down to pit road speed. Connor, that's one of the big challenges of Dover is getting onto pit lane as we see a battle for the lead here. How challenging is that going to be, and how hard is it to get onto pit lane here?
It's the hardest pit lane to get on, no doubt about it. Even in Road to Pro races, even in Coca-Cola iRacing Series races, you'll see drivers miss pit lane as you see the battle for the lead brewing here. It's so difficult because at a track with a car this tight, you lower the brake bias maybe to get it to turn down in the center of the corner, but then when you have to hit pit lane, if you're at a low brake bias, you're just going to be spinning on pit entry. That transition, the backing to the apron is just deadly, and you got the pit wall right there, so it's not surprising we've seen drivers hit the barrels so many times before. That was really tight at a turn two, but you got to be really careful. You cannot push entry. You have to make sure you make it there. You cannot look for extra time entering the pit lane here because you will ruin your race if you do so. I missed pit lane here once and it destroyed my race. You cannot let that happen.
There is just no margin between these two right now, Finney.
No. Yeah, no, I was just laughing because Jack Klein came on the radio giving very sarcastic, okay, what the machine did in turn 2 last lap. So, very, very racy stuff.
Oh, look out.
Mike Carwile trying to find his way on through and a block from Liam Sheen. Not sure that was a blocker, just him trying to get out of the way.
Well, I think Carwile is stuck here. This is not what he needed to come out of pit lane right into traffic. And here he goes, 3 wide on exit. That's going to get really tight, and a lap car in front of him.
Jack Klein was trying to stay out of the mess, and Sheen still pinching. He's actually going to back out of this mess. It's getting very intense. Connor?
I think Liam wanted to pit there. He was telling the guys to go high. He wanted to let Chad Klinger to go high. I think he wanted to pit last time, but because of Ryan Carwell, he had no way to. He's still trying to get to the bottom, and he is trying to pit this time. It's going to get very dicey, but here's his first pit entrance we're going to see, much more clean than Carwile's.
Yeah, a little lockup there. Eric Hutton had to take evasive action into turn 3 and slid way up the racetrack doing so. Jeff Wright also on pit lane. That was a wild couple of laps there with lap traffic involved, both with old tires and new tires, Finney. Look at this battle for P2 now, Klinger and Welker.
Yeah, Welker taking advantage of the chaos, trying to slot his way up near the front. Easily going to work his way around Klinger as he is about to come in. Cabot, though, also taking advantage of this mess and has also kind of checked out for the lead.
Yeah, 1.8 seconds clear as Klinger reaches pit lane. We're seeing a lot of drivers be as aggressive as they possibly can be on pit lane. Good pit sequence for Jeff Wright. He's back out on the racetrack, and he will stay just 1 lap down. And Cabot will probably stay out on track as long as he can. He's got that long run pace, and once you know you've got that over everyone else, there's really no reason to pit early. You can stretch it as far as you can make it go. Lap 53, what did we say, 50 to 55?
Yeah, 50-55 is kind of the window. And pretty much seeing most of the guys at least thinking about coming in yet. We had a few of our top runners come in. The rest of the field still yet to come in. May see some guys try to stretch it. I can think Cabot and Welker are staying out for a little while. Their pace looks to be pretty good and consistent with one another.
Surprised that we haven't seen Miller hit pit lane yet with how much he was struggling mid-run.
Yeah, I would have come in as soon as the window kind of opened itself up, maybe even a little bit before lap 50, but it looks like he's still toughening out there, but you can't imagine that's doing him any favors.
I mean, pitting really early in the window is only going to make your problem of not lasting the full run even worse, though, so maybe there is something to kind of balancing out your drop-off in pace with how old your tires are. That could be something to consider. Here's Liam Sheen right ahead of Jeff Wright, which, if you looked at how these cars were on track prior to the pit stops, this is not a good thing for Sheen necessarily.
No.
Jeff Wright was further behind. But Jeff Wright also pit. Did he pit the same lap?
Oh, yes, they did, actually. I think they did.
Well, a lap apart, it looks like. But even still, that's a good run for Jeff Wright, and not so much for Sheen. And the leader on pit lane is sideways. Adam Cabot turned around.
Did he hit the wall?
Let's have a look.
Wow. You're going to like this replay. So he's trying to get around Doug South on entry. Beat him in. I think was maybe some target fixation. Somehow kept it off the wall.
Did he speed? That is the other question at this point. That was a pretty spicy entry.
He did not.
Wow. All right, then.
Welker got away with murder.
Welker's on pit lane. So is Eric Hutton and Jeremy Miller, and this is a whole host of drivers on down at this point. Yeah, that is getting away with murder. That's about as much as you can optimize a pit entry here at Dover, I think.
Yeah, he did actually give up. He did actually bleed some speed off. He went down to like 25 miles an hour when he was full sideways. So pit speed is 35. So I think he bled off enough speed where iRacing's like, yeah, okay.
So Ryan,
you're good enough.
So Ryan Carwile should be the one to cycle to the lead here. This is going to be your battle for the top spot. Liam Sheen right on top of him, and Jeff Wright right behind. Massey leads the race at the moment with Casey Legatus, but they, as well as Ryan Kish, still have yet to pit as Sheen grabs a spot away from Carwile.
I think some of these guys playing the long game, maybe hoping for a caution to come out. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything's going to be coming their way just yet. Connor?
These strategies getting so spaced out, it's kind of what I expected. You got guys like Ryan Carwell pitting early, trying to maybe just get the most out of their new tires or stretch a 3-stop, which we might see, but it would be pretty unlikely. Then you got the guys pitting around 50 to 55, which would be the preferred time to pit around, like Liam Sheen did or Jeff J. Wright. Then you got guys like Casey Legatus, Ryan Kish, Ray Massey, who just pit. Ray Massey did, but Legatus and Kish staying on track, playing the long game, which we saw work out last week at Bristol after the only yellow of the race brought out by Doug South flipped that race on its head upside down. So Legatus and Kish, the 1542, trying to get a little bit of luck on their own.
Just hearing on the radio, 50 Case Legatus, he's coming in this time by, so not going to stay out that much longer.
And right in front of the leaders, he's going to make that very clear that he's coming to pit lane and gets it onto the apron and slowed down with plenty of time to spare. That should turn things over. Well, Ryan Kish still has yet to hit pit lane. Last holdout here as we hit 100 laps to go.
So
Well,
Liam Sheen has, sorry.
I saw Welker just kiss the wall at the exit of turn 4, but he kept it off.
Yeah, so Welker and Cabot, I guess the losers out of that sequence when you look at it on paper, because obviously they came in later, but they're going to be the ones closing in, I would want to say at a pretty decent rate of speed. I mean, it's kind of crazy because they lost about 10 seconds with staying out there an extra 5 laps, but I think you could probably see them make that up with this fresh tire.
Yeah, generally this early in the race with tire fall off this big, I like that move to get yourself sort of ahead of the game. It makes it look like you're behind, but in reality you're ahead. As Liam Sheen drops off the timing and scoring screen.
Oh.
Could it be a...
Oh, he manually disconnected. I'm not sure why here.
Oh. Accidental Alt F4 for a driver that led a whole bunch in the early going.
Yeah, I think he hit the wall on it maybe after that. I'm not sure if he did that on purpose. Connor?
Yeah, Liam Sheen hit the wall, hit it pretty hard out of turn number 2 and decided he didn't want to run anymore, so he is definitely out of this one.
Well, let's have a look at it. I mean, that's, all right.
That's an extreme.
That was barely a kiss.
It was an okay hit, but I mean, I think he could definitely manage that to at least. He probably still could have won it even too.
I don't think that would have been that big of a deal in the long run at all, actually. It didn't really seem that big, but either way, he's out of the race now.
Not every day you see the leader Alt F4. He technically wasn't the leader, but more or less would have been as Ryan Kish continues to stay out. But
what a cycle to be the
car.
leader. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff Wright will effectively cycle out to be the leader through all that.
Wow.
I haven't really talked a lot about him. He was very quiet in that first run. I think, again, part of this is you were talking about the tire strategy and kind of how it's playing out. One of the first guys to come in during that first sequence of pit stops, that's kind of why he's out in front. He's got everyone chasing him down, effectively.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying is I like the strategy that Welker and Cabot are playing because now you're on the offense, right? And you're not having to defend a poor situation. And the only thing that's going to help you is more green flag running. That's all we've been seeing so far. So I like that Cabot and Welker have put themselves in this offensive position. Yeah, they're 13 seconds back from the leader, but they're going to be climbing for this entire run.
And look at Welker. He's really turned the gap down between himself and Cabot. I think it was around 2 seconds and change when they came into pit. And now Welker looking he's going to pass 77.
Yeah, he's just got a big head of steam. And his pace was holding out in the previous run as well, so I don't think there's any reason to believe that he would slow down at this point. See Kish on pit lane. So this 76 car is looking pretty solid at this point in the race.
Yeah, I'm almost curious if he's maybe pushing a little bit too hard because we saw Cabot pace himself out very well in the last run, so I'm not sure. I'm curious to see if the 76 maybe pushing more than he needs to. Here comes Klinger looking to the inside of Ryan Carwell in 3.
Battle for second, and Klinger will take it. This is a driver that we probably haven't spoken enough about tonight. It's just been really, really quick, and looking at the points, he's 7th in the points. It hasn't been a phenomenal season for him. He's had 3 top 10s in 6 races, kind of hit or miss, but I'll say tonight he's got a ton of pace.
Yeah, only 1 top 5 to boot as well. Looking like he may get the second one here if he can continue. A little bit of a scrape in entering 3, but solid pace in the 0-9, just quiet from that camp. Whoa, boy, Telganoff and Welker getting very close to Telganoff in the wall off 4.
Yeah, that's just a tough place to get past. You have to, I mean, you really have to squeeze that guy because if you give him any more space than he needs, then you're going to end up hitting the fence. So,
and this is for position up here. Cabot to the inside of Carlisle.
Welker's going to try to follow him through. And he's going to do just that. And that's Klinger right ahead, so they're quickly running up into second place.
Coming quickly up on Doug South, entering turn 1. Going to go to the inside of him, and I think I see he's on Ryan Kish on pit lane. It is.
Yes.
Finally came into service his machine on lap 70.
Yeah, he's already back out on the back straightaway at this point. And Cabot up into third place, sets his sights on Klinger. And now this is going to get a little interesting because Kish is going to have 4 fresh tires and want to get by these drivers. 90
He's going to want to get
go.
by, and they're all going to be duking for position here. So I'm curious to see if he's going to wait, maybe until they catch it.
No.
He's going to try to go.
He's going to go. Welker's going to leave him the hole there. That was smart driving by Mitch, understanding the drivers around him.
Yeah, also helps too that they're teammates. I'm sure Kish was asking him to get out of the way.
Yeah, that also helps.
And actually that worked out very well. Not sure that was planned at all, but Kish opened the door for Cabot to move wide. Welker taking advantage. To the inside he goes.
Yeah, can he keep the run going, though? Doesn't have the momentum. And as this race goes on, I mean, we've seen increasingly in the past how this outside groove, which didn't used to be groove here at Dover, is increasingly becoming common. And as we put more rubber down in this race, I think we'll see more and more that upper groove be competitive as you see Telganov turning over 5th place to Bayley Turner.
I think Telganov just kind of hanging in. I think another one of the early comers. Bayley Turner coming in almost 7 laps later. There's Cabot working the inside of Klinger, and here comes Welker as well.
Welker not quite close enough to get the hole on corner exit. We'll have to wait another half of the racetrack to dive up underneath. Klinger looks like he'll leave him the space as they drag through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things as a driver you kind of realize you're on different strategies. Not really much point fighting because Klinger knows it's a losing battle at the end of the day. So let Welker on by and continue his run in 4th. And both these guys catching up to Jeff Wright in a hurry.
Well, closing in on halfway, that will be lap number 81 of 160. So we're about 6-7 laps away from that. Jeff Wright leads, but not for long. Cabot is closing. That orange and blue Chevrolet Camaro. Here he comes.
There he goes to the inside. And Cabot officially in the lead. Welker going to try to slide in second. Wright going to slam the door a little bit. Exiting the corner. And here comes Welker with the look.
Yeah, not quite an opportunity yet. Now he'll dive to the inside. And again, Wright understanding, as you mentioned, the different strategies happening here. No real need to fight Mitch at the moment. Connor?
Yeah, Jeff Wright pit earlier than he would have liked to. He was trying to really play the halfway points game there by pitting lap 49 coming to lap 50. Don't know how well it's going to work. It did gain him some time, a little bit of an advantage on the short run, but I don't think it's going to last much longer before lap 80. He's got 2 more spots he's about to lose, but his strategy there was just pretty much to go for the halfway points.
Well, it still probably will. Well, it's going to be close. He's got a couple drivers behind him that are hounding him here with only a couple laps to go in this first half of the race. But if he can hang on to 3rd, that'd be a good choice.
Yeah, Klinger is catching up to him a little bit, but I think he's probably more worried about Bayley Turner. Turner's got an 8-lap tire advantage on Wright compared to 2 laps between Klinger and Wright. But Klinger is catching up to him pretty solidly off the corner, Connor.
And Jeff Wright did pit. When he pit from 8th place, and no one else in front of him had a pit by then. So even if Bayley Turner does pass him, this will still be a gain for him.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
He's back.
You never know. They could just disappear. Alt F4 or disconnection, or gotta stay on your toes.
Especially with Jeff.
Yeah.
You never know what his internet's going to do.
It's kind of funny because it was Joshua Banks for the longest time that had internet issues, and now it's effectively transferred off to Jeff Wright, who I don't remember having much of an issue with internet, so I found that kind of interesting.
There's always one in every series, and even if that other guy leaves, someone else will have the bad luck.
Oh,
and usually it's Comcast's fault, as we've got Klinger going to the inside of Jeff Wright.
And this is the final lap. This is coming to halfway here, so they're going to fight pretty hard. Klinger on through Turner with the faster car than these two up ahead. Going to look to the inside of Jeff Wright.
Yeah, I think Turner's going to get this here, but can Wright squeeze a little bit more speed as they come back to the checkered here for lap number 81. Drag race side by side at the line. Turner is going to finish 4th, Jeff Wright in 5th in the first half of this race. We keep going, no stage caution. The points are awarded to the top 7.
As it probably should be. I think NASCAR should use this method in real life, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, especially for road courses. I think, stage cautions on road courses completely destroy the strategy, yada, yada, yada. Everyone knows. Doesn't matter what we think. So
It clearly doesn't.
So halfway through, about 32 minutes of racing remaining, and the first half is always kind of the grueling part. The second half is when you get to, now I need more time and I don't have it. And I think we're at that stage in this race now for a couple of drivers. But Adam Cabot and Mitch Welker, again, I liked the strategy they played, and we're very close to another pit stop sequence, another 15 to 20 laps, and they're going to be coming on down and maybe setting themselves up for a run to the end.
Yeah, we saw Mitch pushing early on, was never quite able to get around the 77, so he's kind of staying in behind. I'm curious if this is him pushing or if he's kind of keeping that 77 in check, just managing the distance, managing the tires until, because remember, these guys do have to make one more stop, so he could just be waiting for them to then make his final charge to the front.
Here's Bayley Turner moving forward in that number 24. Now Bayley walks into the night 6th in the standings, was 4th last week at Bristol, 2nd at North Wilkesboro. His season has been all top 5s with the exception of a 14th at Daytona. That's about, or 13th at Daytona rather. That's about as good as it's going to get without winning a whole bunch of races like Jeff Wright has. He's been mighty consistent, but I think he just needs a little bit more pace to get those wins.
Yeah, I was actually trying to check who's the most consistent driver this season. He's the second most, and he's only beat by Jeff Wright, who's got an average finish of 4 compared to Bayley Turner's average finish of 5.2.
Still really solid seasons. It's just surprising how deep the 24 is in the points field. 6th with that consistent of a season is pretty surreal.
He did make one last start, so I think that's probably the main reason.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, he's got 5 starts. Nearly everyone around him's got 6, so he's done pretty well despite missing that one race.
Here's Eric Hutton on Andrew Telganoff. Eric Hutton, strong start to the night. We haven't really heard or seen a lot from him since the start, though. Just outside of the top 5. Driver that we used to see running, up in the front and winning races consistently, kind of buried in 6th now. Go back up to 3rd place. Klinger and Turner still fighting. Clouds have come over the speedway as well. Looking down, you can see the cloud cover all the way from turn 1 to turn 4. And the track temperature 95 Fahrenheit. That's up significantly from the start of the race. We'll see if it comes down at all and helps these drivers grip up as we rage on.
I think they're going to be hoping it's coming down. I'm kind of surprised at how much it jumped up only to 95.
Have a look at a race recap so far. 73 laps to go. No cautions, 5 leaders and 8 lead changes so far. Pretty competitive race. Most of those have been under different tire and pit strategies, but still changes nonetheless.
Bayley Turner working on the back of Chad Klinger. Kind of surprised he hasn't gone around Klinger. I was expecting him to already get the job done with, but it seems like 09's holding him up.
At this point, I think Bayley Turner is just going to take it when he gets there. I don't think he's really trying to push this too much. It's a full 3 seconds up to the next group, so it's not like you're going to be able to do a whole lot with that gap before the next pit stop sequence anyway. But you can try to eat into it here as we approach 70 laps to go. Cabot and Welker separated by half a second. Good honest battle, Chevy versus Toyota up here at the front.
I'm expecting these guys to make their next pit stop in about 20 laps or so.
Sounds about right, and that would just take them all the way to the end from there, splitting this run up into 2 roughly equal halves. That seems like the strategy to do.
I kind of like how all the manufacturers almost grouped together, except for a few here and there. It's almost all Chevys in the front, Fords in the middle, and almost Toyotas in the back.
Not a lot of Ford representation here tonight.
Yeah, Carwell and Massey the only ones flying the banner for the Blue Ovals.
Andrew Telganoff has a little bit of a train forming up behind him. Ryan Carwile, the 71, Ray Massey in the 23. Those are the 2 Fords we were just referencing. So at this stage in the race, we're just clicking off laps. Cabot leads in the number 77. He has led so far out of 91 complete laps, make it 92. He has led 25. Connor?
Jeremy Miller has been struggling since he hit the wall. He's all the way back to, I believe, the 10th position. He was running 5th before pit stops, but just very frustrated with his lack of tire saving, saying he's tried every trick in the book, ran every line he can, just can't save that right tire, just continuing to spiral down.
Yeah, Chad Klinger slips down a couple spots. Connor, that's something we've seen with Jeremy a lot in the past, though, is he's got really good short run pace, but doesn't necessarily have it in the long run, and that seems to be consistent across track to track. What do you do different, and how is it something, how has Jeremy not figured it out yet? I mean, is it just something that you have to learn over thousands and thousands of races, or is it just the way you drive and an inherent style that's hard to get rid of?
I think you have to take a hard look of how you drive before you can start to really fix the problem with him. Short run speed is obviously a strong suit for the most part, but you got to look and say that's probably why his long run speed really isn't there. You push hard on the short run, push to center, get on throttle early, really shove it into the corners. That's going to kill your tires long run, and it's just, you can't recover from it. Once you burn them, they're burned. You're not going to get them back. No one's really going to coming back to you on track. You're not going to be able to catch them either. It's just a big struggle. You kind of have to reevaluate how you drive. There's more shallow entries into the corner and slower entries into the corner, waiting to get on throttle, not getting on throttle even before center, rolling the center. Low center speeds are really where to do it as well, and obviously being patient on throttle, not jamming the throttle, and just being gradual on your inputs on the throttle. All those things are things I think he should be able to take with him, in, information that he can use to be a little bit faster on the long run. It maybe a little bit of stubbornness as well plays into a factor as well. You don't want to run differently because you're used to how you run, but if you really want to be better on the long run, really want to make that significant change to your racing style, you do have to look at how you drive early.
Well, I think it's just also, inherently you want to go fast, right? You don't want to have to slow yourself down, and it feels, as you mentioned, a little bit wrong to do that. But, it's a trade-off, right? He's got really good short-run pace. If this race had a few yellows, that 30 car might be in a really good spot, but not necessarily paying off for him in these longer green flag races that don't have a lot of slowdowns. And over the course of that race, you're not getting a lot of opportunity to shine where you're good, and that can be really frustrating as we make our way through this long green race.
It is certainly frustrating, like you were saying. On the surface, it's the most frustrating thing on the surface, how slow you have to run on a short run to save for the long run, and it is definitely not his style. He's been so good on the short run, and in series past, seasons past, it has been a more yellow-filled race here at Dover, but at least a few times that we've been here, a few times this season, we just haven't been seeing those yellow flag counts really go high and skyrocket as we might have seen in the past. And maybe a little bit of a lower car count plays in this factor, but these drivers are just cleaner. They're not as erratic anymore because they're used to the tracks, and maybe that's not playing into Miller's strength. He's expecting yellows, but we're just not getting them, so it's throwing his loop off because he can't push early on because we're not going to get that yellow. He keeps pushing, and it's just going to go crumbling backwards every single race he races like that. So it's a tough adjustment to make. Everything you have to do to go faster on the long run, but it's definitely a necessary adjustment for him to look at doing if these races keep going green like it is.
Yeah, and Finian, we're looking like we're going to go flag to flag, green to checkered again, and as a driver, right, it's always nice to get at least a caution or two to kind of reset your brain. If you made a mistake, you get one opportunity to kind of correct it, but when it goes green from start to finish, if you make a mistake on lap 15, that will haunt you for the rest of the race, and that is incredibly frustrating to not get another go at it.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're going to have to keep thinking, how you can recover from that as Miller comes in for a pit stop. A little bit early on this one, so I'm a bit surprised. He's going to have to continue for a little over 55-something laps to the end, which I think is the longest he's coming, or longest stint he'll do. So into the box for the number 30, and also too with the caution coming out, gives you a chance to try to fix the car up, at least attempt to. Maybe a little, not a whole lot, but not really much you can do under green. As mentioned, you just have to kind of stick with it as leaders come past the line. Gap has been dropping down a little bit between Welker and Cabot, hovering around 0.5 of a second. Hasn't really gotten a whole lot closer than that.
Well, I think the gap that we should be looking at maybe isn't necessarily the one here. It's the one here. The 0.6 back from Welker all the way to 5 seconds back to Bayley Turner. They have put themselves in a different zip code, Finian, and they have separated themselves and given themselves a little bit of wiggle room in terms of strategy. I think they can run even longer all the way out to the end of their fuel tank, then come get tires, and they'll be good on offense to the end. They might have to pass a few cars, but I think they're going to be at a pretty good spot. Connor?
There was definitely a switch in strategy for Jeremy Miller. Last I talked to him, he wanted to pit lap 55 and lap 110, but he told me he's already pretty much last on the track while he was in 10th place. As you can see, he's only fallen to 11th with that pit stop. He's already pretty much at the back, and he's struggling with damage, so why not pit early? We saw the undercut work wonders for Jeff Wright to get some points, so we'll see if this works out for the 30.
Needs that track position, and he's got stuck a couple laps down now, too, so he's going to have to hope it goes green for a little while longer, Finian.
You can see the tire difference, too, as he rips around the outside of Chad Klinger. Eric Hutton coming into the pits. So pit stop starting to begin here. 88 going to be one of the first of the front runners to come in.
And you see, was that Jeff Wright, the 48? He's also down. And this is probably at the upper extent of the window that I thought we'd see people hit pit lane in. Well, maybe not. 50 laps for race leader Adam Cabot, 49 for Welker, 48 for Bayley Turner.
And knocking on the door.
This feels about right.
Yeah, pretty much. Around 50 laps to go. A lot of guys are starting to come in. Miller was a little bit earlier than I would expect some of these guys to come in. There's Chad Klinger rolling into pit lane. So already some guys coming in. Curious now with the leaders, when are they going to come in? And is Welker going to follow Cabot in? Is he going to stay out an extra lap or two? I'm curious to see what kind of mind games are going to go on between these two.
I think ideally for Welker, he'd hit pit lane a lap before Cabot because that would get him the lead and it wouldn't sacrifice a ton of tire. The problem is if Welker pits before Cabot, then Cabot can just extend a few more laps and then be able to charge it on him with fresher tires later. I think that would be ideal if Welker could pit at lap 115 and have Cabot hit at lap 116. So the only way to do that would be to go all the way to the end of your fuel and hope that Cabot doesn't pit before he's out of fuel.
Ooh,
but that's
car in the wall ahead of the leaders, Jared Dixon. A little bit of smoke and wall contact off before.
There's a look at it. Oh, he was way offline.
Oh.
Big hit there. That's a pretty sizable impact.
Almost want to say, oh, caution out.
Whoa, and it's the 16 car, slow on the back straightaway. Is it, or is it? No, it is the 98.
Yeah, I think it is him. Yeah, I was just about to say, I feel like a tire was going down for him.
Oh,
and in contact with Welker.
Welker did a great job saving that. Here's another look at it. He was, wow, this was just after his wall contact.
I was going to say, I feel like a tire was going down for him. And hit the wall. Welker avoided it. Thought he was in the clear. Wow, Welker, that was a
look at Miller.
Save.
We'll go back and look at Miller here. Let's ride on board with the 30 car. Have a look at this.
Is him coming with a head full of steam.
Woo! Man, Welker did a really good job collecting his car, all things considered, because he really didn't have much of a choice here. He just got clobbered, and how much damage is there? He did a great job saving that. It hit the right rear tire, so the only thing I would expect is that it could have damaged the...
He's got...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, it looks like he's mostly to the right rear quarter panel, and I think as you were going to mention, if it was to the suspension,
yes,
if it knocked the wheel out of alignment.
Knock the track bar or something like that.
Yeah. But we'll see how long he's going to be in the pits. I'm sure we can try to get Connor to get some homework done on that. Yeah. See how bad the damage is. I'm sure whatever it is, Welker, as soon as he can get back out of the pits, he's going to...
Well, here's the other thing. It's not... I'm not sure how worth it is to...
It's not... Well, it's not required, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, well,
right?
Right. I mean, I would have thought that you would not spend, even if it, well, I like that he didn't spend any time fixing it because I think giving up the track position at this stage of the race is a poor idea. Even though there was only 5 cars on the lead lap at that point, I think that was a big risk. Connor, do you have anything on the 76 for us?
Just that it's lucky, pretty fortunate that he has no damage out of that. That was teammate-on-teammate action. Jared Dixon obviously hit the wall into Mitch Welker. Joined their channel at the right time. They were not happy. Mitch Welker definitely wasn't happy with his teammate there, and Jared Dixon was really happy with him getting frustrated at him because it was very heated discussion between those two right after the incident set foot. Mitch Welker definitely heated in a moment, didn't mean to say some things he said, but those two were definitely going back and forth after that incident.
Oh boy!
I don't entirely blame him. I would have had a heart attack. I had a heart attack almost watching that. I'm still kind of amazed that Welker managed to save it. Had he put one input wrong, he would have went flying to the wall. So, especially considering he had the leader right in front of him. So, I mean, this could have been maybe fortune, maybe not. We'll never get to see if Welker was planning. Actually, I was curious, Connor, was Welker planning on undercutting Cabot or overcutting him?
I believe he was planning. If I had to guess, because I honestly didn't get the info on him, but if I would have at least tried to undercut him by 1 lap, because that's usually the strat. The undercut's been working, so why not try it, especially when you're going for the race lead. But I could get that info, but I did not get it from him. All I got was a bunch of cursing once that incident happened.
Well, that was kind of the undercutting Cabot by about a lap was exactly what I thought he should do, but that's pretty difficult because if Cabot sees that you're doing that, he's just going to run a couple more laps that he has better tire than you. So the only way that you can really guarantee that is if Cabot runs all the way to the end of his fuel run and you just pit 1 lap less than that, but then you're betting that Cabot will take all the way to the fuel run. So there's a lot of variables involved with that, and that was a big bet. But either way, I don't think this helped either of them. I think they would have been better off having their big lead that they had.
Yeah, also got to mention too, Bayley Turner, another quick car, was looking pretty good. Didn't really keep up with these two. They kind of got away, I think, because Turner was really, for the most part, the entirety of these 2 runs was just busy kind of getting himself near the front. Now he's got a chance. So I'd say anyone in this top 3, if you're looking for a race winner, one of these guys will probably be the one taking on the trophy, unless something catastrophic happens in the front.
Lights are off atop the safety car. And purple on the timing and scoring tower. That means we're coming to a restart. Gonna double up the front 2 or 3 rows here, then the rest of the field will get a wave around. There are only 5 cars on the lead lap. Cabot, Welker, Turner, Legatus, and Andrew Telganoff. Everybody else is a lap down or more.
Evan, kind of got another word for us?
Just talking about how, just like Bristol, just like last week, this flips the race pretty much on its head. I think this flips it on its head even more, as you were talking about, Kyle. Only 5 drivers left on the lead lap. That strategy by Jeremy Miller, it didn't pay off to get him track position, but it did pay off to give him the lucky dog. So he'll have fresh tires. Everyone else behind him will be in a pretty bad spot. So if it does go green, he has the tire advantage. This could very well play in his favor for at least a 6th place finish.
We'll see how it pans out. We're just over 45 laps to go. Pace car pulls off. Cabot is in command in the number 77. It'll be Mitch Welker to his outside. Outside of Racing League round 7. Green flag back in the air. Adam Cabot fires off clean. The 24 is a good run on Welker. And that might be a position change down into turn 1, Finian.
Yeah, we'll see again. Turner, expect that car to be pretty strong. I'm sure Turner, since he knows he's got a shot, he's going to be pushing pretty hard here. Off of turn 2, he's going to clear the 76 of Mitch Welker. And actually, he's going to go defensive entering turn 3.
Welker chases him up the hill. He's going to try to squeeze and throttle off corner. A little bit sideways for the 76. And a block there by the 24. Good strong move there to keep the 76 at bay. Adam Cabot loves seeing this in the mirror.
I was going to say, he's saying, boys, have at it. I got a race to win. So he's going to check out, or at least try to check out from these two while they're preoccupied with each other. I was going to mention Casey Legatus in 4th place. He's kind of sitting in behind. We'll see if maybe he has anything saved up for these guys up ahead. He's looking at a solid top 5 finish, as we mentioned. Only 5 cars on the lead lap.
I told you that's one of those guys that will just kind of sneak into the top 10, and you try to figure out, how did he do that? Well, just very carefully putting himself in the right position over the course of the race. 45 laps to go. Cabot leads over Turner, Welker, Legatus, and Telganoff, the rest of your top 5. And Jeremy Miller a lap down. He's got the lucky dog position if we were to get another caution. We've been green all the way up until the most recent caution, which was just a couple of laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, as you mentioned. We only had that 1 caution. I'm not entirely liking the chances of another one. So we'll see what happens. Jeff Wright, Ray Massey in behind. There you see them there. Also, both of them a lap down, fighting for 7th place.
Ryan Carwile just behind them, but up front, I don't think this is over just yet. Cabot, Turner, Welker, and Legatus isn't too far behind. 2/10 between all these drivers as they hit turn 1 again.
Generally, looks like he's starting to gain a little bit on Cabot. Here's see how much Cabot's going to push. We've seen him usually be a little bit more on the conservative side, try to stretch out the run, but I'm not sure he's going to have that luxury this time.
That's something I think Welker's got to be really careful of, is driving too hard, because this 24 might burn out, and he might lose the opportunity to pass him if he races the 24 at this particular moment in time. That 77 is certainly enticing to go run down, but he's got to be cautious. He's not going to burn off his own good years in the process.
Top 3-0, nose to tail, just about 40 laps to go.
Yeah, next time by 40 to go, and it goes by quick. 24-second laps. We're about 16 minutes away from finishing this race. That is not a lot of time, and I think drivers like Welker and Turner can feel that pressure. Cabot might be feeling pretty good where he is at the moment, especially with these two fighting so hard behind him. And look at that 50 car, that Sim Motorsports Supra right in the mix now.
I think I'm curious to see if Casey is going to try to stick a nose in here. I feel like he might just wait for these guys to maybe get into each other and then sneak his way on through. I'm not sure he wants to poke the hornet's nest. We'll see if he does.
Still on top of each other. Welker peeling out again to have a look at Turner. He can't be too aggressive because he's got a couple drivers behind him, and not all of them are for position. A couple of lap down cars that don't really care that the 76 is in a fight right now. So that's a consideration here. Big throttle up mid-corner, and he's right on top of Turner's bumper.
These guys fighting with inches on a track where inches matter. Got to be careful here. Never know when someone can get potentially turned around. Bayley Turner gassing him up mid-corner hard, trying to close the gap between himself and Cabot. Here comes Walker, though, with a little bit better of an exit. Nowhere to quite go this just yet, though.
Yeah, Welker giving up some mid-corner speed to gain some exit speed, but is he leaning on that right front tire too much on exit?
I really don't think these guys care. They're running too much on the right front at this point. They're going to burn it down to the sidewalls.
Yeah, that's the challenge is we still got a lot of laps left. I mean, 35, 36 laps is still a lot with how fast you're going through the corners here. So I don't think it's quite time to get abusive on them yet. I think they're not necessarily thinking about that, though. They're not thinking big picture. They're thinking in the moment. Connor?
This is kind of what we were talking about with Jeremy Miller's tire saving. It's exactly what Adam Cabot's sort of doing right now. He's stopping in the center, having really slow centering speed so he can really save that right side, those right side tires. And I was in their channel, Bayley Turner was in there as well. He's telling Cabot how much he hates the stopping center thing, but it's definitely the effective strategy if you want to save these tires. That's why he's won 3 of the 5 grand here.
And this is a great shot watching Welker just feet off of the rear bumper of Turner. Been entertaining, and to watch how different the lines are through 3 and 4. Good run through the center for Mitch, but he just isn't able to carry it all the way onto the front straight.
No, he is, and I'm curious if he's maybe trying to pick up and see if the guys ahead of him kind of saving tire. He's only going to be looking at burning, as you're talking about him burning that right front off. Because it looks good now, but 20 laps down the line, it's going to be trucking really hard. It's going to be plowing.
Plowing.
Cowboys would think.
Plowing. Not winter in Dover, but it is for Kyle Busch. Yeah, I mean, this is just so nip and tuck right now. I don't think there's really anybody that has a distinct advantage at this point. It's all going to come down to how much are you wearing out your tires. I think Welker might be overexerting them just a little bit. You see him slide up mid-corner. That could be harming the right front as we approach 30 laps to go.
The leader's slowly pulling away from Legatus and Miller in behind, so they're kind of pulling out to their own domain to duke this out.
Well, this is how this entire race has gone, specifically with the 77 and 76. They've both kind of driven away from the field, and Turner just happens to be sandwiched between them. But I guess someone else got invited to be a neighbor in their own zip code here this race, sharing the same plot of land.
I wouldn't say he's sharing the plot of land, he's renovating it. I don't know.
Okay.
I think we've gone a little too far. Analogy somehow. That's the best thing I can
Scratch
come up with.
that one.
But he's holding his own in there, too. It's not like he's been out of this battle for the majority of this race, but I definitely think had the pace to be in this battle when the time came, and luckily for him, time has come. Question is, can he get past his teammate in 77? Or is he going to be pretty much second fiddle to him?
2/10 between the front two. That's the largest lead that Cabot has had since the restart about 20 laps ago. Welker is losing touch with the back of the 24 as well. That's the thing we're going to start seeing people spread out just a little bit as the tires wear. Cabot's kind of pacing the two behind him. But how much have these two been exerting themselves? I think Turner and Welker might have been using a little bit more tire to keep pace with the 77.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. I figured Cabot was going to be the one setting the pace with this run, and these guys kind of had to match him without burning their stuff up, and it seems like they might have, which is not surprising considering they were blocking each other, making almost about to make dives on each other, and it seems like it might start up again here in a few laps.
Klinger is off track and done for the day. Jared Dixon and Liam Sheen are also done. Doug South runs 2 laps down, so does Ryan Kish. Everyone else is 1 lap down or on the lead lap at the moment. And that lead between Cabot and Turner is expanding. I think Welker needs to get around this 24 now. I think he's holding him up just a touch.
Question is, does Welker at this point have any tires left to get around Cabot? We saw that car look a lot more maneuverable at the beginning of the run during the restart. Now doesn't seem to be as aggressive, I think, because he knows he can't really force it more unless he wants to end up in the wall.
Yeah, I mean, what more do you do? You need to have a little bit more speed differential than he did before. You saw he was pretty much dead even with Turner, and he wasn't able to do much with it. You have to be, well, this might seem obvious, but you have to be faster. And I just don't know. I just don't know how much faster Mitch Welker is right now. I mean,
racing journalism right there. You got to be faster.
I mean, I think they're just a little too close right now. I think at this point, you got to be a little bit faster. And I'm not sure that Welker's got the differential in pace. This is a stupid comment. I quit.
I want that on a t-shirt. Got to be faster.
Racing's all about being faster.
Yeah, Cabot is, sorry, not Cabot, Turner, looking like he, again, not sure if he's maybe like falling behind. Maybe he's trying to build up a gap, but he's starting to fall off. And then as you're talking about, is Welker having up, because he's also looks like he's starting to fall off.
Andrew Telganoff is in the picture now, 4th place, just got by Casey Legatus, and I would just like the record to show that I picked him to win this race. I don't think he's going to do that, but top 4, top 3 would be a pretty good way to go out.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's been kind of mired outside the top 5. I don't think he actually got inside the top 5 until the restart, where everything got shaken up. So luck worked out for him strategy-wise. So he's going to end up top 5. I don't think really he's going to finish worse than 5th. Should the race continue as is, he's only got Casey Legatus in behind him on the lead lap. Next car is Jeremy Miller, nearly an entire lap in behind him. So solidly in 4th place.
Yeah, Welker is a little bit quicker. Actually was quicker than both the leaders last time by, but again, you've got to get by this 24. Oh, big kick out there from the rear tires. I think he's feeling the pressure. We were running out of time. 20 laps to go. Connor?
This would be a pretty big win for Adam Cabot. This would put him tied once again with Jeff Wright for that overall all-time win mark. They're sort of trading it back and forth at this point, with Cabot going for yet another win at Dover. It's almost Jimmy Johnson-esque. 5 races have been run here. He's won 3 of them. He's looking to go 4 for 6, pulling away from his teammate Bayley Turner, as well as Mitch Welker, who dropped back significantly that lap. This is just his track, his style. He's been able to tame the monster pretty much almost every single time he's come here.
It's a hard place to win at. It takes a lot of skill and precision to get through here, especially 160 laps. Not a particularly short race here. So you have to pretty much hit your marks every single time around without getting yourself into trouble. And Cabot has just been flawless today. And
yeah, Dover.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can continue.
Oh. Okay.
Or not.
I'm just messing with you.
I'll go.
Okay, go, Connor.
I have nothing to talk about, but I'll go. But one thing about Adam Cabot, he's just something about these tracks about saving tires. He's not always the best at saving tires, but he's usually always at the front at the end of the long runs. Just something about this track, close to his home, something about this track. He's just able to wrap the bottom. No line to really work off of. He just knows what to do. He has a knack for this track. He always does every single time we come here. Even in a cup car, probably a truck, he can do it too, but this is just a track he's always succeeded so well at, along with other tracks you have to save tires at, just like the Monday Night Racing finale he won at Auto Club. A little fun fact, it's the same car, same paint scheme he ran at that finale where he won the Monday Night Racing Championship.
Yeah, he's just... Some drivers have tracks that they're just good at. I think this is one that Adam Cabot is just good at. When it comes down to it, everyone's got their favorite places. Some people have places they don't even like, but they do well at. And I think for Cabot, certainly falls into the former category of just being good at a place. And much like Jimmy Johnson was here for about a decade at this particular place. And Jimmy Johnson was good everywhere, but here in particular, it was kind of his house for a while. And it appears that Cabot has kind of made this track his home in ORL.
Yeah, I was going to say is I remember for the longest time I really disliked Dover. Just never could figure this place out when I started sim racing. Always never really did particularly well here. And then over the years, I think as I got better with road course racing, I think it kind of ended up helping driving around here. I've done a lot better at this track, and it's I've warmed up to Dover over the years. Before I wanted to nuke this place to smithereens. Now I just want to nuke New Hampshire. That place I absolutely despise.
Yeah, I've never liked New Hampshire. That place, Magic Mile, my rear end. Not a big fan. It's a Magic Mile.
It's so magic.
Yeah, it's the dude with the old crusty hat and the bunny rabbit inside. It's the only magic that place has.
I was gonna say if it's so magical, it should just disappear.
Yes. Wanted to quickly mention Jeff Wright, points leader coming into the night. And the two drivers that are chasing him in the championship, Mitch Welker and Andrew Telganoff, are right behind him in the points, 22 and 25 back, and they are ahead of him on the racetrack. So they're going to start to eat into this lead just a little bit. And next up on our schedule, we head to 2 off weeks, followed by the Charlotte Roval on April 23rd, and then Iowa Speedway, then Michigan, Nashville, Darlington, Chicago. That is the end of our regular season. So we go to road race next in 3 weeks. And that's a place where Jeff Wright is really good. So even though this might be a little bit of a slide at the points, I think it's looking up for the 48.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he's going to bounce back from this. I mean, I don't expect this is not a huge downturn in form for him. They just got caught up with the strategy.
So.
Yeah, so I think that lead's going to probably be eaten up maybe by about half, maybe a little bit more. I think it's going to be within about 10 so points between both Welker and Telganoff. But nice to always see a close championship battle, even though it's still early days in the season. We still have the points reset for the playoffs, so still a long ways to go, but already starting to see some familiar names near the top.
Yeah, and interesting that we kick things off at Indianapolis on a road course on June 11th. That is the first week of our chase, which is 5 rounds? 5 rounds. The Indy Road Course, Talladega, Kansas, Las Vegas, and Auto Club. And there's no short tracks on there, notably. So that's not going to do you a whole lot of good to not have any short tracks if you're a short track guy. It's speedways and 1 road course. And a little bit of luck at Talladega.
Yes, see a lot of it luck at Talladega.
Thankfully for drivers that don't like super speedway racing and road course racing, they get that out of the way really early in the chase this season, and then it's just speedways from there on out. 11 laps to go, and a 1.3 second lead, Finian. It's not coming down at this point. Turner is not going anywhere.
I think for Cabot, he's going to be looking at the scoring pylon each time, just hoping the caution doesn't appear. Doesn't see the lights flashing on any of the emergency vehicles around the track, because, as you mentioned, it's stay kind of stabilized out. Bayley Turner's falling off, Welker's falling off. They're kind of falling their own little niche, not really going anywhere. So they're just kind of hoping this race finishes out under green. And no shenanigans from here on out for the 77.
Yeah.
Taking home another win.
10 laps to go in this race. We've had 1 caution for 4 laps. The other 147 have been clean and green. 5 leaders, 8 lead changes. Adam Cabot has now, I believe, has led over half this race, which would be 81 laps. 83 he has to his name, make that 84 as he ticks off the last few. Ray Massey is running Jeff Wright down. He's got Casey Legatus back here as well. Legatus is actually on the lead lap and currently in a top 5 position.
Yeah, and he has no real chance of losing that. He's got Jeremy Miller in behind 20 seconds back to him, so as long as Casey doesn't bend in the wall in these last 10 laps, he should be good. I think he just kind of let the lap cars by and let them fight it out. He's going to ride along and come home to an easy 5th place.
There's Jeff Wright, Ray Massey. Surprised to see that Jeff Wright has not found his way a little further forward. This is a track that I think he would have done okay at, but I don't think the cards quite fell in his favor. That caution came at a bad time for the 48. Hasn't been able to rebound at all.
Yeah, he's currently 2nd of the lap down cards, so he's only got Jeremy Miller directly up ahead of him. And he's 2.4 seconds up the road.
Yeah,
he's the only guy he can catch.
I think for a lot of drivers, that caution fell at a bad time, and they didn't get another one to kind of cycle back around again. They all took the wave around, so it didn't really. They were all 2 laps down when the caution came out, so they never got a chance to fix their race after it got broken. So unfortunate timing for that.
I always wondered why the pit lane speed is so slow around here. It's only 35 miles an hour.
I guess
because it's tight.
It's super tight. I think it's actually the tightest pit road in the sport, and everyone always talks about how tight it is. I mean, it looks pretty wide from up here, but when you get down on the racetrack, it's really narrow down there.
Yeah, especially when it gets busy during caution, you kind of see why it is for safety reasons.
And it does wrap around. You can see at the bottom right of the screen. It does wrap around. So it's, again, this is only a 1 mile track. It's not very long. So all the pit stalls are pretty short and they're pretty narrow, and the entry is difficult. There's a lot of reasons for it, but it does feel like you're crawling down there for sure. This is a very fast racetrack just because of the banking. I mean, think of it. You don't think of New Hampshire as being a very fast racetrack because there's no banking. I mean, here there's 20 plus degrees of it. It makes it really feel like a rocket around here.
I mean, these guys never drop below 130 miles an hour through these corners, so they're carrying a lot of speed. They go up to around 160, 170 miles an hour by the end of the straightaway, slowing all the way down. Just about 130 minimum in the corner. It's a really fast range.
Yeah, and the deceleration is also quite a bit because on fresh tires, you're doing well over 170 off into the corners, then down to about 130 to 140. I mean, you're really slowing the car down a bunch, and you're leaning a lot on the banking. So we talk so much about tire wear here because you're just using the rubber and just shredding it across this rough concrete surface to make the car stick to the road.
Cabot working his way around. 2 more laps to go. 1 more lap, and he's secured this without a caution intervening late in this race.
Well, it's the 7th round of the season, and we've only had 1 repeat winner so far, and it was Jeff Wright that got it done. Adam Cabot this season is not running for points, at least not significantly. And he's going to roll around and pick up the white flag one more time around. Over Delaware. White flag waves, Turner and Welker, 2nd and 3rd, Finian.
I was going to say, it's Cabot's first start of the season.
Yeah.
Hasn't made an appearance yet.
Well, start number 1 of the season in race number 7. He's going to lead over 90 laps en route to his first victory of the season. Adam Cabot is back, and he will tame the Monster Mile, and race number 7 go to Adam Cabot. He wins at Dover. Turner 2nd, Welker 3rd, Andrew Telganoff will be 4th. Casey Legatus will wrap up the rest of the top 5. Everyone else is a lap down.
Yeah, absolutely. Very anticlimactic for some of these guys. Catch a replay of Cabot coming across the line, came across in style.
Yeah, I mean, that's his thing. Let's go back and have a look at it as he came up out of the corner. Let's go back a little farther. So he came through turn 3 and 4. And big power slide here and pulls it down to the apron. Woo, big slide there.
Shot for the cameras right there.
Certainly. And here's another one. Celebrating his first win of the season. His first start.
Just like that, as quickly as Jeff Wright got the all-time wins mark from Adam Cabot, Cabot ties him right back a week later with 14.
Would you have it? I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. It was just a really well-executed race today for Adam Cabot. He just had the pace the whole night, and he's going to celebrate with one of those awesome straight-line burnouts. Let's have a look at our race results, though. At the top of the board, of course, Cabot in the number 77, but the 24, 76, 3, and 50 are your top 5 finishers here, Finian. Strong run by Telganoff and Legatus as well, we should mention.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, both of them getting a little bit lucky with the way the caution came out, able to take full advantage of it and secure a top 5 for them. Everyone else past that, let down. Miller, Wright, and Massey, as well as so Carl and Hutton in there, all getting caught out by that caution. Probably should have finished a little bit higher than where they ended up. Moving on to the second page results, Ryan Kish, we saw he was kind of struggling with pace for most of the day. Wasn't quite able to break inside the top 10 when it all said and done. Doug South, Chad Klinger. So not exactly sure what happened to Klinger, why he retired early on. Then Jared Dixon, we saw bring on that one caution. He called it quits early on. And then, of course, Liam Sheen ending his day earlier. So everyone back in 15th.
Well, Mitch Welker looked like he had a car that was capable of winning. He comes home 3rd tonight in the number 76, Mitch. Maybe not quite the finish that you wanted. You had a lot of pace tonight and just didn't quite have the pace to get around Turner and Cabot there at the end. What do you think you needed to get around that 24 and go run down that leader?
I needed to be faster. I think the 2 drivers that were faster than me finished in front of me. Yep. I felt good, but those two just really had it in them. So not a whole lot.
I was actually going to say that's pretty much exactly what I said towards the end. I was like, you know what? To pass that car, I think he just needs to be faster. And I just don't think that at that particular moment the pace was quite there, Mitch. But a strong run tonight. And there was a certain point before that caution that I thought you and Adam were in a league of your own. Let's pretend that caution didn't happen. Do you feel like you would have had a better race or had a chance to win? And do you think that caution kind of negated that opportunity?
Potentially, because I was catching Adam, wasn't I? But at the same time, when I got within about 3/4 tenths, dirty air really started coming to play. I couldn't I couldn't dive it as hard out of 2 and 4 as I was able to earlier, and the car just kept pushing up the track, and just felt like I hit a wall, almost like an F1 car. I just needed air on the splitter to make it work, and I don't think I could have gotten much closer than what it was.
Well, a third place, still not a bad run. Good points night for the number 76 as well. Mitch, thanks for talking, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, for sure. See ya.
Moving on now to our second place finisher, Bayley Turner, who kind of came out of nowhere to finish in the second place. Was running well all night, but then that caution came out and put you in prime position to run down the race leader. Couldn't quite do it there, Bayley. You held off Mitch Welker for second. Take us through your race and then that last run to the end.
Yeah, kind of regretting calling up my old teammate there and telling him to come and hop in the race, because that guy is the Dover GOAT. But overall, no, super proud. Had the run today. I don't really like this track, and just trying to figure out how to really save that right front, run well, has been a challenge over the last few years. So yeah, just I felt like me and Mitch, I felt like we had a pretty similar pace there for that second, third place spot, and just the way I got caught in traffic in a couple different situations, he was able to slip by me, and then different sequences of strategy. I was running P3, pretty much the majority of that race, and just luckily with that caution coming out, was in prime position on that restart. Had to defend a little bit, but that's Dover. Unfortunately, it's one of those single line racetracks where if you just defend the bottom, you're probably going to be okay. And then Adam just backing up the center of the corner so much, I was having to push it to stay ahead of Mitch, and then getting caught in Adam's dirty air, you just burn up that right front just a little too much. But overall, I think my average finish in the last 4 or 5 races is probably P2, P3. So hopefully we'll get that one spot higher next week.
Well, we're going to have a couple weeks off, then we head to the Charlotte Roval. Bayley, how do you feel about running on the road course there? Do you think you can get it done?
We'll see. A lot of these guys are pretty good road courses, but I like to give guys a lot of crap, because the pace I do have is usually braking with the right foot and using the gas with the right foot. So pretty comical that, still got a little bit of speed that way.
All right, Bayley. Hey, second place tonight, not bad. We'll see you in Charlotte in a couple weeks. Good luck to you there.
Thanks.
Moving on now to a driver that his teammate just described as the Dover GOAT. Adam Cabot returns to Orel, his first start of the season. Logs him a win, Adam. That was a strong run tonight, led over half the race. Came down to kind of a last run after a caution, but didn't look back. 1.7 seconds clear your teammate. You get it done. Take us through your night and driving away from Bayley there at the end.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. First of all, it's good to be back. It's been a while since I've done an ORL race, and even longer since I've been in a Sim TV broadcast, so good to be back. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Dover is just, I don't know what it is, but it is just by far my best track. So I guess you could call me a Dover ringer. I'm not a road course ringer, that's for sure, but if I ever find out Dover's on the schedule somewhere, it doesn't matter what car or what series, I want to race it. Whatever it is, my driving style, definitely have this place figured out. But yeah, Mitch was really, really fast. I haven't really raced against Mitch that much before, and about maybe halfway through the race, maybe a little bit later than that, he caught me so fast after that first pit stop. I thought he was like a lap car on fresh tires, so I was about to let him go, and then I realized that no crap, that's for position. So I had to drive like hell for 5-10 laps just to keep him behind me, because track position is important, so I didn't want to let him get out in front of me, and with how fast he was, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to pass him back. But yeah, sketchiest moment was definitely getting into pit road. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I felt like I was like 15-20 over, so I'm not sure how I didn't get a speeding penalty, but I forgot Dover has a 35-mile-an-hour pit road. Caught me off guard, but yeah, fun race and good to be back.
Well, we did catch that, and it was a wild ride down there for sure, but congratulations. It's good to have you back, Adam, and that was a really strong run. Cool to see you battling your teammate there at the end, and congrats. We'll see you next time whenever you join next.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. And with that, concluding the broadcast here tonight, Connor, a great race tonight, really competitive at times, but Adam Cabot just returns to what he's good at, winning here at Dover, Delaware. At the end, I think Mitch Welker probably needed another opportunity. I think he had the pace to win if things lined up a little better, but Cabot got it done again, Connor.
I think he just needed more track position at the end. Even if he was second place, if he could have just gotten by Bayley Turner at any point, he would have had a really good shot to at least get Adam Cabot a little bit loose out of a corner or something. But what really hurt him was, I believe, in my opinion, the yellow he was involved in. Not much he could do there. Definitely pretty exciting race. Had comers and goers. Had Liam Sheen, who looked fast, hit the wall. Didn't really want to be a part of the rest of the race. There was a few other drivers at the front. Mitch Welker was fast pretty much the entire time. Jeff Wright looked to be maybe the winning car on his strategy. He did not get the finish he deserved due to Viella, but definitely comers and goers, some decent racing all around. Tire saving was very important, and that pit entry almost caught a few people out, but all in all, pretty solid race. And the Dover Goat, we got a plate goat. I feel like we have to have room for a Dover Goat because it's definitely Adam Cabot.
Definitely room for a Dover Goat. Finian, we head to a road course in a couple of weeks, a few weeks off. Then we head to Charlotte for some road racing, some curb hopping and that sort of thing. There's a lot of drivers in this series that are really good at road racing. Your thoughts on Charlotte in a couple of weeks here?
My thoughts are that it sucks I'm going to miss it because I'm going to be in India. So I'm not going to... Wait. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to be back for that race. Never mind. False alarm. I forgot.
April 23rd.
I'm coming back on the 23rd, yes. Unless my flight's delayed, in which case I will be missing it. But if I do miss it or not, looking forward to a great race. I feel like it's been a while since we've been to the Charlotte Roval with this group. I don't think they had it on the schedule that many times. So we'll see how it's going to play out. I think we're talking about Jeff Wright being one of the biggest names for this season. I think definitely going to be one of those guys up at the top. Bayley Turner, as we were just talking with him, I think he's also going to be up there. And then especially if Mitch is going to show up, we know he's got a lot of road course experience with both F1 and IndyCar style racing. So expect him to be up near the top. So it's a bit of a toss-up to see who's going to take on the checkered flag, but we'll see when we head there in 2 weeks' time.
Couple weeks until the Charlotte Roval will be April 23rd that we'll return to you with SimTV action for the Outsider Racing League. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Kyle Heyer, Connor Horn, and Finian DeCuna bringing the action from SimTV. We'll see you in Charlotte.